Join us Friday, June 24th for our kickoff event, the Shades of Melanin Soiree, hosted by me, Damian Barling of D-Lo and KC at ESPN 1320 at our place in Old Sacramento, 1107 Firehouse Alley. And then June 26th, it's our main event, the Black Grad Celebration, highlighting the Black excellence in the class of 2022. And that includes pre-K, elementary, middle school, high school, college graduates, class of 2022 in the Sacramento region. We're going to party. Pull up to the center at District 56, 8230 Civic Center Drive in Elk Grove. Let's acknowledge and send the class of 2022 off in style. For sponsorship info, reach out to S. Pryor. That's SPRYOR at BYLP.org. Free tickets available at BYLP.org. It's going up, and we will see you there.
So you want to know what you can do to be an ally on Juneteenth and beyond? I got you. Check it out. First thing I need you to do is go to Google and find a Juneteenth event that's being thrown in the Black community. Steer away from making your own. It just won't turn out right. Trust me. Go there, listen, learn, and embrace the culture. When you get back from that event, I need you to grab your laptop and look up your local politicians, your U.S. Senator, State Senator, U.S. Rep, State Rep, your mayor, all them. And I need you to ask them what they intend to do for Black Americans, specifically those who are the reason why we have Juneteenth, meaning those who descended from those who were enslaved, those who descended from Black freedmen who endured Jim Crow. Ask about reparations. We ask all the time, but it means more coming from you. After that, find a nonprofit, find a Black business, find a Black consultant that's doing the work to undo the harm from slavery, from Jim Crow, from racism, and give money, but not just today. Happy Juneteenth.
We in here, yeah, we in here, cause we been here. We in here, yeah, we in here, cause we been here. Yeah, we in here, cause we been here. We in here, yeah, we in here, cause we been here. And you know that we gon' ever go for you, cause we been here. Life.
That's it.
Happy Monday, and welcome to Black versus the Board of Education. My name is Miss Laureen, and today we are talking all things Juneteenth. That means what it is, what it isn't, what we've seen. Some of y'all been wilding out. We're going to talk about all of that too with our special guest who's going to join us after my crew gives their little introductions. So let's start with that, ladies. Ms. Anaya, we'll start with you.
Hey everyone, I'm Anaya, and I'm going into my senior year this upcoming school year.
Come on, senior year. Miss Melissa.
Hi, everyone. My name is Melissa. I'm 15 years old and going into my junior year this upcoming school year.
Let's go. Miss Jada. Hey, Facebook user. We don't know who it is, but hey. Come on, Miss Jada.
Hey, y'all. My name is Jada, and I'm an incoming senior this year. Woo!
All right, class of 2023 and 2024 representing. And this next guest has joined us before, and we're so glad to have him back. If we could bring Mr. McGowan on the stage so we can get this conversation going. I don't know who's supposed to do that, but I can add him myself. Okay, y'all gonna keep, okay, all right. Hey, Jordan, welcome back. Go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Peace, y'all. I am Jordan McGowan. I am an educator, and I am part of Neighbor Program.
Awesome. So listen, though, you got all this feminine energy in here. You ready?
Oh, I got two daughters at home. Plus, I already met half. Two-thirds of the babies. So, hi and peace. Nice to meet you. I wanted to, if it's okay, I wanted to kind of show y'all. I'm in the back of our center, but I wanted to show y'all the Asada Shakur Freedom Farm, so y'all see again some opportunities for the babies to come out and learn how to grow some food here at the center. Right, we got 3 sisters going on over here. We got some squash. You can actually see it right here, ready to go. So we got some beans, potatoes, yams, tomatoes. We got some sugar cane in the back. So would love for the babies to come out and play, learn this.
All you gotta do,
interested?
All you gotta do is invite us.
Oh, it's an open invite. And then you know what brought me on here the first time, but we still got a court.
Uh-huh. So you wanted to make sure you showed Sam that you ain't like Umar Johnson, huh?
Right. Sam was on me. So I had to let y'all know. I think it's probably work better this way.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, there we go. I had to let Sam know, right? I'm not like Dr. Umar. I'm here with a building. I'm live and direct. You know what I'm saying? That we here and yeah.
Well, that's dope. That's dope. And we're definitely going to come and check you out. Matter of fact, Melissa will be here Thursday. And
Awesome.
so maybe we just plan a trip, ladies, to go and see what did you call it? Asada Shakur Farm?
Yeah, so we're at the Shakur Center. So that's the name
Shakur
of
Center.
the whole place. And then in the back, we have the Asada Shakur Freedom Farm. We have Panther Court. This weekend, actually, we have the Dr. Matulu Shakur Health and Wellness Clinic on Saturday from 11 to 2. And then on Sunday, we have the Afeni Shakur Legal Clinic, which is partnered right now with UCA in their monthly expungement clinic.
Oh, perfect. Well,
So,
let's get some more
there's a lot going on this
information.
weekend.
Yeah, let's get some more information so that we can share it. I know that's in between our events for celebration weekend, so we might be able to work those things in. So we'll keep we'll send us the flyer or something so we can post it.
Sounds good.
But today we talking about Juneteenth, and I've been to several of the Juneteenth events in the community. I've seen a couple of different things popping off. I'm a little concerned because we didn't do that. Once the government made it a federally recognized holiday, we see a lot of interesting things popping up. So, ladies and Mr. McGowan, can you tell me what are the most interesting things that y'all have seen so far since this holiday has been federally recognized and commercialized? And Anaya, I saw your hand go up, so I'm gonna go to you first. But what have you seen?
The ice cream at Walmart.
Okay, the ice cream at Walmart. Jada, what'd you see?
It's them stupid like little merchandise that says it's the freedom for me. Freedom who? Freedom where? Cause we not slaves. we free. That's funny. Ooh.
Oh, what about you, Melissa? What you seen?
Anaya took mine. Of the most baffling was that Juneteenth ice cream, but I've also seen like Jada was saying merchandise, but I've also seen like place sets, like plates and forks and napkins talking about, it's the freedom for me, or things that we would definitely not say and not label on Juneteenth. Yeah.
Oh, what's crazy is it's the freedom for me. They tried to use, I think, what you would describe as AAVE type of language, like it's the freedom for me. Like that's what.
But somebody had to come up with that. They first of all, sometimes these different entities don't have people who look like us in the vicinity to tell them, hey, that's probably not a good idea. Like I think one museum had the watermelon salad, the Juneteenth watermelon salad that they had popping off. I think I've seen some little bingo boards or some things like that. I mean, it's just okay. Mr. McGowan, what you see? What's going on in your community?
So it was actually a little bit south of here, in Sacramento, but something that I saw was that the police were recruiting.
That was in Stockton.
Right. The pigs were recruiting at Juneteenth. What is going on? How? No. With everything going on, it's supposed to be Freedom Day and we bringing the slave catchers? Come on, y'all. To recruit so that we could go be slave catchers? Come on, y'all.
Yeah, and I saw those comments. Didn't they take the post down? I think the community was on their heads about that. Like, this can't be real.
But the thing is, it is real.
It is. It's absolutely 100% real.
And I guarantee you, that wasn't the only community that had the police at their Juneteenth event or was getting sponsored by some pigs or getting sponsored by a bank that owned our folks. Or you feel me? So like, how? But again, Malcolm talk, we can't cuss out that dollarism. So them dollars, they all make sense, I guess.
And I think that before we kind of move along in this conversation, we have to first establish really the history behind Juneteenth. What was it for? What happened that now we have a federally recognized holiday? Besides the fact they didn't want to talk about reparations, so they started to give us something symbolic to take our eye off the ball. Melissa, can you go over the brief history of what Juneteenth is for the folks that may be listening?
Yeah, okay. So the Emancipation Proclamation was something that was issued in 1863, and that was signed by Abraham Lincoln saying that enslaved people were free. Now, it wasn't until 1865 that in Texas, a group of enslaved people were enslaved 2 years later. So after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed and issued. So it wasn't until 1865, June 18th, that the soldiers came into Texas, and then until June 19th, when those enslaved people were finally told that they were free. So that's how we got Juneteenth. That's the day that all enslaved people were free. You're muted, Miss Lorraine.
Thank you, because I was sure about to talk. So when we're talking about this holiday, right, that was given in lieu of serious discussion on reparations and them now commercializing it, it's important to know why we are celebrating, because I can tell you from the multiple different events I went to, there was no discussion about why we were there. There was a lot of smoking, drinking, because Black people don't need an excuse to turn up. Let me just put that out there. But there was not a whole. There were a lot of vendors out there. One of the things that I saw, I was at one event. The music was in Spanish, and I'm trying to figure out who they were marketing to. If this was a holiday that was supposed to be recognizing Black American folks, why did we have events where the main music was in Spanish? I didn't know what was being said. I don't know what was going on. A lot of the conversations, a lot of the DJs were playing Caribbean influenced music. Now, not saying that some of the people may have Caribbean roots somewhere, but there are many Black American artists that they could have profiled or highlighted in this space where we're supposed to be honoring Black Americans who found out that they were free. So I'm just curious to you guys, were you confused? Or let me start with this question first. Had you ever celebrated Juneteenth prior to now? Jada?
Kind of, like, we would celebrate, like, before it was this big national holiday, it was something on the side that we would celebrate, kind of just what the Black community would specifically celebrate. I guess you could call it our 4th of July, I guess, kind of like that, but it wasn't this huge big thing until they made it a month that it became super highly recognized and super highly celebrated anywhere and everywhere, and they began to market it off of it. Yeah. You're on mute again.
I know. I'm sorry. Anaya, had you celebrated Juneteenth prior to it becoming a federally recognized holiday?
I'm going to say no, not to the extent of how I celebrate it now. My family always recognized it, and we always said, like, oh, happy Juneteenth. But it wasn't where we went out and we celebrated it with other people, and where we bought food, had the music playing, went to these festivals and celebrations with Black vendors and buying things from people. But it was just mostly like a celebration inside our house. So, yes.
Okay. Melissa, you too?
We had never recognized it like on the day, but whenever July 4th rolled around, we never celebrated that. And if we did, we went to Black-owned restaurants and supported Black businesses.
Gotcha. Mr. McGowan, is this something that your family celebrates?
It was actually something that I grew up doing my whole life.
Okay.
So in San Francisco, there's one of the longest running, I think it actually is the longest running urban Juneteenth celebration. And so my family is from San Francisco. And so I've always had Juneteenth. It's always been a big deal. My dad always made sure. But again, like I came from a family who had been involved with, Panther work and different, in that kind of era, right? And so I think, again, his identity, what he kind of gave me, I think that all kind of influenced how I saw and moved in the world, the things that we celebrated.
And so when you're talking about that things were celebrated, did you understand what was being celebrated? Because I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. Although I've known about Juneteenth, I don't believe I've actually celebrated Juneteenth. I just know I stopped celebrating July 4th. So when you say that you grew up knowing this, what type of things were you told?
Well, I think my earliest ideas or remembering, right, memories of Juneteenth center around going to festivals, music, basketball tournaments, Black folks being around, you feel me? Most folks wearing dashikis, you feel me? Hair braided or in froze. And again, in the Bay Area, the culture is really, like, especially the Black identity is really centered around Africanness, right? And African. And so that's that comes through a lot, right? And so you would see, again, like Malcolm X shirts, you would see the old school fist in the back, and then like I would see like a pic with with Africa, African chain, like a medallion, things like that. Again, like look at Pac, right? Tupac, right, is a perfect example.
And so what it sounds like is that there was a very Pan-African type of view on what was being celebrated. But now
UNIA flags everywhere.
Yeah. And so now what I'm seeing on Twitter and different places is that people are reclaiming the meaning of Juneteenth, and for it to be a focus on Black Americans who went through this experience and learned that they were free. So for me, what I believe is that Juneteenth is not a Pan-African holiday. It should not be a Pan-African holiday. It should be focused on the people who went and endured slavery and then found that they were free. Jada, do you agree with that? Or Naya, Melissa, do you guys agree with that? Or do you think that it is something that should be for all Black people, because we're not a monolith? So what do you guys think?
I can agree with that, because at school I know some of my friends, like their family immigrate, like their parents or grandparents immigrated here straight from Africa. So their ancestors didn't go through their ancestors weren't enslaved in America. So they would just like tell me like, oh, happy Juneteenth, but they wouldn't celebrate it because they know it's technically not their holiday to be celebrated. So I think I can agree with your statement, yes.
Jada, you agree or disagree?
Hearing what Anaya said, I can agree. I think that when I saw Juneteenth before it became such this huge holiday, was that it was just a holiday for Black people, like every Black person. So it was never kind of like, oh yeah, so there's a differentiation between certain Black people, like, oh, so it's for everybody. So now that it's become this national holiday and you see people celebrating it as if it's a Pan-African holiday, and then hearing opposed opinions and kind of getting a history lesson from other people about, well, it's not really a Pan-African holiday. It's for the ADOS, the American descendants of slaves, the people whose ancestors were going through the hard times. And it's just like, okay, yeah, that kind of makes sense. So I would say, like, I'm a little fresh on this, but I can agree with that.
Melissa.
I agree with what everyone is saying, and I think that before I knew about the Juneteenth flag, but not what it represented, and that Juneteenth was not simultaneous with the Pan-African flag, and so I'm still learning also. And so I think that people need to be open to learning, and if you are a Black person and want to celebrate Juneteenth, you can do that in a respectful way, and you can recognize, the point is we want people to recognize the history behind it and know exactly what you're celebrating. You're not going to celebrate with the Pan-African flag, because then you're not celebrating Juneteenth. You're celebrating just to celebrate. So if you do want to celebrate, you need to educate yourself and do what needs to be done.
And I don't think Miss Exquisitive is in the chat. She says, so are you saying that people from Africa can't celebrate with Black Americans? I don't think anybody said that. I think that what they're saying is that there is a history behind Juneteenth, and we need to celebrate what the history is and not make it a catch-all for all Black people to come in and make their own meaning. Juneteenth is what Juneteenth is. And Anaya, I see your hand.
So I wanted to add on to what Miss Lorraine was saying, how not saying that people from Africa can't celebrate it, but it's more so a holiday for ancestors from those who were enslaved. Descendants from those who were enslaved. Just like I've never celebrated the 4th of July because that wasn't for my ancestors who were formerly enslaved. It wasn't a holiday for me. So why would I celebrate a holiday that wasn't for me? Not saying that we're going to basically segregate the holiday, but it's like we need to learn the history and know why it's being celebrated. So
and
yeah,
I
Mr.
would say,
Jordan.
go ahead.
Right after Jada, Jordan, can you jump in? Go ahead, Jada.
Yeah, but I was just about to agree with Anaya and Melissa. Like, we're not saying Africans can't celebrate it with us. Just don't try to rewrite history or celebrate it in a way that's not 100% accurate. That's all. That's all I'm getting from it.
Jordan?
So I guess my question then to y'all, as someone who identifies as Pan-African, right? And would also in the understanding of the way that you were titling American descendants of slaves, right? I understand that, I understand my family's history of enslavement. So I guess my question would be, as a Pan-Africanist, I celebrate all African Independence Days, whether that's Nigeria, whether that's Ghana, whether that's Juneteenth, whether, you feel me? Whether that's Jamaica. So I guess my question is to then, if someone has that perspective, right, what would be then the proper way to go about that?
Recognizing the history behind each Independence Day or each celebration that you are wanting to participate in, because it, like Ms. Lorraine was saying with Ms. Exquisitive's question, it's not that we don't want people to celebrate or recognize. We're not trying to exclude or segregate anybody, but it's about recognizing the history behind each of these holidays and each of these celebrations. You cannot celebrate it, but you're saying it's something that it's not, because that isn't celebrating it, that's not appreciating it in its whole. So just recognizing the history behind each of these Independence Days that you are celebrating, then that's absolutely fine.
Anaya?
I was going to say I agree with Melissa, and I would say that if you're someone who identifies as Pan-African, then go tell those people oh, happy Juneteenth, and like we were saying before, support Black businesses, but also like Melissa said, don't try to reclaim it and make it something that it's not, because I feel like that is disrespectful to try to take away that history.
Jada, are you jumping in or what's going on?
Oh, I just wanted to, but when Anaya said that last part, I 100% agree with that. I would just say, just show your support, and try not to come in and try to make it what it's not. I think if you're going to show some respect for Juneteenth, show respect in the right way by understanding the meaning behind it. Yeah, definitely.
And if you are coming in with your own opinions about what you think it is, and someone tries to correct you or educate you on something that is their history, don't take offense to that, because they might be taking offense to what you're saying also. They're just trying to educate you. So if you are coming in and saying, the Pan-African flag is simultaneous with Juneteenth, and someone who is ADOS is saying, no, that's not what the history is, they're trying to educate you, so don't take it the wrong way.
And I think just to kind of wrap that up, it's okay, you mentioned that you celebrate the Independence Day of Nigeria, of different other countries too. those people have their own histories. So it's incumbent upon you, if you're going to say that you're a Pan-African, to know everybody's history and why that holiday is special to them. I think that a lot of times what Black Americans, what we're expected to do is to just fold everybody in and make it all inclusive. But what we're saying now is that, hey, this is something that was specific to our ancestors, our lineage, and we want to celebrate it as is. And I don't see a problem with that. And I know that today I've been sharing a couple of different things that I've been seeing. I've made no commentary because we were going to come in and we were going to talk about this. Because I just want to know other people's opinions. I don't say everybody has to agree with me, just like I'm not going to agree with everybody, and I'm okay with that. But I think that it is everybody's choice to represent how they want to represent. But the Juneteenth flag is the Juneteenth flag. That's just what it is. People can disagree with it. People can decide to, align with a different flag. That's their choice. But that does not mean that there's not a flag that is associated with Juneteenth. And I'll just share this really quickly because I want people to know kind of what we've been discussing today. And I think that it kind of created some sort of, I'm sorry, did I make it too big? Let me zoom out. So I didn't know certain things. And so I too, like the girls, and being educated on different things. And so this just basically says the Juneteenth holiday is for the Texan descendants of American chattel slavery. And they go down to break down this flag that was created. I don't fly any flag. I don't pledge allegiance to any flag. That's my how I am. That's not to say that other people don't have anything that they align with. That's fine. But then down here it says it is not, and then it gives some examples of what Juneteenth is not. Now, whether you agree or disagree, there are people on both sides. And my goal today was to get a conversation started about this particular holiday and the significance behind it. And so I'm open. Jordan, have you seen this graphic before? And what is this graphic saying to you?
So I was like, what flag? That was my question. I was thinking it was the flag on the far left, right? Like that's the flag. Okay, so that's in my mind. I'm like, is that the flag?
The far left on the bottom?
Yes.
Okay, so this one right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was kind of the flag I was associating my head with, because y'all kept saying the Juneteenth flag. So I'm like, okay, maybe that's the flag they're associating with Juneteenth, but I wasn't sure. And then I have never seen this flag again. I'm a Bay Area kid. My grandmother is actually from Texas. Our family was from Texas. I just found out some crazy news. I got a call from a cousin out there who found some old, documents. So I'm getting ready to go out and do some digging on some history. I'm on some history nerd stuff. I'm excited.
Right.
So I'm going to be digging and might find out some stuff about my family in Texas. But I've never seen this flag. So that I was like, wow. Okay. I'm if nothing else, I'm glad that I came on today to see this.
And so, I mean, the breakdown is interesting, right? Like it says the star is for Texas, right?
Let me see if I can make it bigger. Okay, here we go.
Okay, so it says that the star is for Texas because that's when they found out that they were free. That's what brings about Juneteenth, right? And then it says the split is the new horizon, and then the blast is a new beginning. And so this is the Juneteenth flag. I was introduced to this flag. Oh, hey there. Hey. I've never seen. So we all learning something today. We're learning something today. Okay. That is not to say that people can't choose to align with whatever, but there is a flag for Juneteenth. I'm assuming it came out of Texas. I don't know. And if somebody is a historian
on the flag.
I'm sorry.
Do we know the history on the flag? Like who made it? What year?
I want to say, who was that?
I was going to say it was Ben Haith, and it was 1997.
Okay, so it was like
1997.
recently, or not? I mean, not
Mhm.
recent to y'all, but
25 years ago.
recent.
Yeah, 25 years ago, and I don't know who voted on it. All I know is this is the flag for Juneteenth. I don't know. Again,
The
it was
history
just a
of
federally recognized holiday last year, yes, or 2 years ago. When
last year.
1 year ago. Okay. And it became, I think that it is more about symbolism, given the Juneteenth holiday. It's more about symbolism because they did not want to talk about reparations. And so we have to be clear on that.
Y'all know we had a reparations task force meeting here.
Yes. Is that California? Yes.
Yeah. For the California reparations task force, in May 14th, we held Malcolm X Day, and part of that was like hosting the California reparations task force informational meeting here. So yeah. So
Yes.
if y'all in Sacramento, pull up and come, rock with
When
those.
is that?
I don't know when the next one is. I'll try to check. I know they like go on a tour, right? Like they kind of hit city to city. And so the brother, was like, hey, we coming to Sac. I was like, you got to do it here, right? If it's for us, if anything around us, right? Yeah. And I think that was like right to your point, right? For me, it's all about how do we all connect and how do we all look out for each other, right? And it's like we don't always got to agree on how we identify or how this, but we do got to just honor the truth. What I wanted to, I guess my question back to the three of y'all, again, I'm sorry, I'm an educator. This is just conversation, right? Like I don't want anyone to feel like I'm, and I forgot which of the three of you said it, but one of y'all said we weren't free. And I 100% agree. Like I'm right there with you. Like 1,000%. No, like no, full stop. Like I'm with you. But then my question to you is this, because we call Juneteenth Independence Day, but if we not free, that's my question to you. How is it an Independence Day if we not free? And again, this isn't demeanor. I've just told you I celebrated Juneteenth my whole life. My question to you is still, though, if we aren't free, how is it an Independence Day?
Because I think at the time that it was created, or the time that this holiday was first celebrated, they were free because they had them and generations of their ancestors had been enslaved. So just not being owned anymore by those slave masters and not having to participate in chattel slavery anymore, because there are different types of slavery. That flag is specifically for Texans and African Americans or Americans who were enslaved and participated in chattel slavery. So I think that, it is an Independence Day from chattel slavery and from those that were in Texas.
And so I'm looking at the chat and I'm seeing all these different things going on. And I'm assuming, so I just saw something about if someone of African American heritage, okay, but if a Caucasian person designed our flag, it's a no for me. And my understanding is the person who designed the flag is a Black person. I saw somebody holding it up, but
are they Black and from Texas and have the records that they, you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, like we gotta do some history digging.
Right, we do. Like
if you want to design that flag, like what is your pedigree? What is your credentials to do that?
Well, I'm gonna pull it up so y'all keep talking, because I think it's just important again that we start to look into things and not just take it for at face value.
Okay.
We need to start asking questions.
Okay, so y'all know I love asking questions. So I have another question about Juneteenth. So again, have any of the three of y'all read General Orders 3? Again, what was read out.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
Has Anaya, you have?
I had a question, a follow-up question. So my mom and my dad went to this Juneteenth celebration thing a few days ago, and they brought like little copies of the Emancipation Proclamation. Is it related to that, or is it okay? Then no, I have not.
But yeah, so okay, yes and no, right? So I'm going to be clear. Lincoln doesn't free any slaves. I'm going to call them slaves, but they're not slaves, right? He doesn't free any people. Again, at that point, right, in the census, they're knocked down, right, as they're marked down as Africans. So he doesn't free any Africans because he doesn't have any jurisdiction, right? You're not the man here. So what General Orders 3 is read in Galveston, Texas, right, which is where Juneteenth is like originates, right? And it's read again by this, general. And what he says is the relationship thereof from slaves to masters now becomes employer to employee. So in that moment, to me, language tells me the same way that the 13th Amendment tells me we are still allowed to have slaves inside of what is called a country. That language tells me explicitly who is still the owner and who is still the slave.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm going to go back to that same question. Sorry. Also, I'm going to ask you to look at the black codes, right? That would arrest us for vagrancy, which is literally just standing around. But if you were enslaved and then now you free, what job do you have? Oh, you captured and thrown right back into. So when we think of those things, we think about there's more Africans, black, whatever you want to call them, folks, inside of these modern day plantations. Some of them are on the same old land, right? Angola.
Yeah.
Are we free? Is this an emancipation day? That's my question to y'all.
I mean, I think I would go a step further because some of y'all been celebrating July 4th for a very long time too. So were we independent then either? So we have, we have to look at it in totality.
I don't think we're free. Back to your point, I don't think we're free.
We haven't been free. Go ahead, Jada.
And for the people who don't know what black codes are, I actually pulled up the definition to read it, if that's okay.
Of course it's okay.
So black codes restricted black people's rights to own property, conduct business, buy and lease land, and move freely through public spaces. A central element of the black codes were vagrancy laws. States criminalized men who were out of work or who were not working at a job whites recognized.
Okay, but listen, so what the cold part is about that is they freed these people knowing they didn't have a pot to piss in. And because they didn't have a job, because they were newly freed, they found a way to re-enslave them. And so it's just a cold game out here to where we have to recognize what is going on. And the moment they federally recognize this celebration, a lot of us should have been arching our eyebrows like, what's happening here?
You got to go back and read my essay last year. I wrote that exact thing.
Did you? Why you didn't bring it?
I wrote that exact thing. Last year I said, oh yeah, here come the okie doke.
Yeah, and it's important. Like, again, this conversation isn't to bash anybody. It is to put the education or the information out there. You go do your own research and you make whatever decision is best for you. But we have to have these conversations to open up the dialogue because a lot of us are walking around sleep.
Lost.
You know what I mean? And then we start to go back in the slumber when things seem cool, or when we hear people start to talk about, oh, there's this whole woke movement. Oh, people are woke. They don't know what woke is. They're reinventing the use of words that we have been using for a long time. We used to talk about stay woke, and that means we were starting to be informed and enlightened about the things that had transpired in the past so that we can respond differently. But now it's a whole different thing where now you have people on the opposite side saying, oh, anybody who is against police, this is the woke culture. Anybody who's talking against what happened January 6th, is this the woke culture? Anything that is not going along with the perceived program is now considered the woke culture. So how are we as people informing ourselves and making sure we know what we're talking about before we open our mouth? How are we doing that? Anaya?
I think, well, I guess this wouldn't be not opening our mouths, but I think having these conversations, because I'll admit, I have never seen the Juneteenth flag before Miss Lorene posted on her story, before I was shown it. So just being able to educate yourselves along your with your peers and people who look like you, as well as also searching things up, reading a book. I was never taught in school what Juneteenth is. I learned about it at home. So I think having these conversations, and some of them, like Miss Lorraine said, we disagree on some things just because we're not fully educated on everything that's happened for us. So I think just having these types of conversations is going to help us get a lot farther than we are right now.
And so you just brought up, hold on real quick, because you just brought up something, and I saw this earlier on Trevor Noah from Trevor Noah. You were talking about we're not fully educated. And then, we then hear about folks in states taking away critical race theory that wasn't a thing in high school. It's actually a college concept. So I just think that there's this part of that woke culture that we talk about, the CRT, that's part of that woke culture. And so people are using words and buzz phrases, and they're scared of people finding out what actually happened. So they're reinventing it. And I know I cut somebody off. Who was that, Jada? Was that you popping in? Melissa, come on.
Yeah, I was just going to agree with Anaya and how she was saying having these conversations with people and surrounding yourself with people. I think it's also surrounding yourself with different people, because then if it's not your close circle of friends or the people that you talk to about these things, if you're surrounding yourself with other people who may not talk about these kinds of things and talk about Juneteenth and Black history, then if you're surrounding yourself with other people, you get their opinions, and then you're also educating more people.
Jordan?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me today, it was like a ride, right? Because, like I said, I've celebrated Juneteenth my whole life. For me, it always had, like I said, like Pan-African flags, those types of things. Seeing that there is a flag specifically for Juneteenth does like make me like want to learn again. Like I said, I want to know more about this dude now. Like I'm like, I gotta find out who this cat is. Like, what are his credentials to do this, right? Because even to the point of like someone said, if he's Black, then it's cool, and if he's white, he's not. Nah, because what if he's still not for the people? Like, why should he get to speak? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, did he hold an ability for the people to share how they feel about this? Again, like a question that I have to circle with was like, by making it a federal holiday, which again, we've all just said was going to be liable to be co-opted, does it try to, again, now, is it able to be a way to make us disunified as Black people just generally, right? Because now we're seeing it and people are, like you're saying, like people feel like, oh, you're taking away the history, or some people feel like this, or right, just because people get difference of opinions and now they're all just fighting, right? And it's like, whoa. Because there's a way to do it, like you said, where you can respect it in this way and you can understand the history. Like there's still ways, right? So like, but again, in this culture with buzzwords, with things like that, it gets so chippy, so fast.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we eliminate that so this can be, so we can understand the history, so it can be a unifying force, so it can be a way that all Black folks throughout the diaspora can understand, like, we are collective, because like you said, we ain't never been free. So that means all of us. And how do we understand how that works for all of us so that we can collectively work together so we can all get free? You know what I'm saying? Those are the things that like swirl around in my head. And I'm like, damn, man, how do, like I said, like, I'm gonna have to go, does bruh have a book? I gotta read his book. I gotta, you know what I'm saying? Like, there we go. So
yeah.
If you can, Ms. Lauren, throw that in the chat for me so I can click on
this. Okay,
yes,
let me copy it. So this is the picture of the person who is credited with the flag. I don't know much about him. And I'm going to drop it. I'm like, should I drop it in both places? Let's see. I'm going to drop it in both places. I'll put it in for the folks at home, and then I will share it in the private chat, just so we can have the conversation. Again, we don't know much about it. It looks like he spent some time in the Army. There's some pictures of him in a dashiki. There's all this stuff. So I shared the article with folks, so you please feel free to read it. And his name is Ben Haith. Do your research on him. We don't know who made him the paterfamilias, the one who's gonna speak for all Black people on this issue. I don't know. Melissa.
I pulled up an article or some information about him.
Okay.
So it says Ben Haith, born 1942, also known as Boston Ben, is an American activist from Boston, Massachusetts. Haith has been active in anti-crime groups since the 1980s. He's recognized as the founder of the National Juneteenth Celebration Foundation. Haith is also known for creating and copywriting the Juneteenth flag. So that's a little bit more background information.
I don't know. That description made me nervous.
So you said what? Something makes you nervous? What you say?
I said that description made me nervous.
I'm like, was he there when they made it?
Damn, dog. Like he one of them ones. I hope I'm wrong. Ben Haith, if you out there watching, bro, I hope I'm wrong. I hope you for the people, dog. I hope you a real one. But whoever wrote that for you was terrible. Whoever wrote that, they set you up, dog. That was a bad look. Don't.
Well, and I'm just wondering, did he have anything with them, signing it into law? Was he there when the president signed it into law? Like, what was the purpose of it? I got questions too.
Well, I think the biggest question for me is like the anti-crime organization. Like, to me, that sounds like anti-crime bill, right? Like that.
Yeah,
if that's the case, if that is the case, like there's I don't care if that's the case, then I know that flag is part of U.S. propaganda against us. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and I see that there was some other comments in the chat talking about, people had a problem with the flag because it still had the red, white, and blue colors. However, I saw the other comment that said that was done because these formerly enslaved people wanted to be seen as part of being America. They built this damn country. So I can understand both sides of it, to be honest with you. I don't have, like I said, any flags at my house. I'm not rocking no flags. I don't know where hardly any of these doggone flags come from. I know who they credit them to, but I don't know who they come from. You were about to say something, Jordan?
No, I was reading a comment.
What did it say? I'm missing stuff.
Yeah, they said Juneteenth is for everyone to empower or learning, listening, empowerment. I forgot the rest of them, but it was just again like a chance, like you said, like it really should be a chance for us to be building, and that's what I wrote this year, right? I actually got to go out to San Diego this weekend and spend some time at the World Beat Center with Miss Makeda. If y'all are out there, y'all should go visit. It's a beautiful space. It's so dope. And she has so much history in there. But I got to speak, and again, regardless of, right, like I said, I identify as Pan-Africanist, right, which comes from, and the flag comes from Garvey and all. But ultimately, like what I want us to do, all of us, is to be building, right? Because we're not free. So how do we build to collective liberation, right? And that means being in community, that like literally getting in these conversations like we was just talking about, right? Because
and not being afraid to agree to disagree, and not thinking that it's a personal attack. You know what I mean? Like we have to be able to go into spaces and have conversations, one that kind of challenge the way that we see the world and the things that we think about, because sometimes people are going to ask us questions and we need to have answers for them. And so we have to be open to have conversations that may make us uncomfortable. But in the effort to learn more, we have to learn more, because knowledge was kept from us for a very long time, to where we couldn't read without it being something that we were punished for. Right. And so now that y'all remember the saying, and y'all probably too young, but y'all remember the saying, if you want to hide something from Black people, put it in a book. Do you remember that? And so now it's incumbent upon us, because we have free reign, to go pick up a book and learn. Let's learn. Let's talk about things. Let's understand where other people may be coming from, because we're not a monolith, and it's okay to not be a monolith. Like Jordan said, he identifies as Pan-African. I do not. I identify as ADOS. There are some people who identify as freedmen. There are some people who identify as whatever they identify as, right?
Right.
And
we got a whole bunch of them.
I mean, and it's okay.
And that comes from the trauma that was imposed upon us from European imperialism. You know what I'm saying? And the Holocaust that they put us through.
Right. And so
And we just right, we out here like we talked about, we just trying to find ourselves again.
Right.
But what we got to remember too, like, and I know these babies know it because they show it every time they come on this screen, is they got to remember how great they are inside.
Yep.
Where they really come from, right? That we heirs to the throne.
That's what
right?
it is.
That we spirit, like we divine, like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's something in us. And y'all got it, and just keep it and let it grow. And you're gonna make mistakes, but you're gonna grow. It's gonna be beautiful. And every time I see y'all growing, and even when I'm in here throwing questions at you, I'm watching you grow, and I'm watching because you have to. How do I answer this? It's beautiful. It's beautiful, and thank you so much because y'all getting me ready to be able to eventually, hopefully, do this at some point again. Because truth be told, right, I don't feel comfortable back in the classroom after everything, you know. So I appreciate y'all. No way, I'm having all type of issues, but we'll get to that. But
well, we're gonna help you. Well, we're gonna help you figure that out because
so
I think that
I just need to be in the
you.
community. I need to be in community with my people. You know what I'm saying?
We need you. We need you to be okay. You know what I mean? And that's why we're gonna surround you and try to figure out how we can get you to that point. And I understand not wanting to go back into a system that has traumatized you or hurt you in some way. We understand that. And however, whatever your teaching career looks like moving forward, you know, let us be a part of that, because it's hard to go back into a place where you don't trust people to do right by you. Right. And that's the story of so many of our doggone ancestors. You know what I mean? Like there's so many stories of the same type of treatment, and this particular holiday is for one group who was treated in a specific way, where there was a document signed, a law, a bill, whatever it was signed, a proclamation signed, and they were not told. And they were continued to be kept in chattel slavery, even though, according to this document, they were free. And that's what it is. We're not going to rewrite that. We're not going to let them retell it, because what that reminds me of, Jordan, now that you bring it up, what that reminds me of is the fact that teachers have a specific contract that you're supposed to abide by. And if you step out of those walls of the contract, or they feel you step out of the confines of whatever the document is, they're going to impose certain sanctions on you. And they're not fair. And that you are treated much more different than your counterparts who look different from you. And we have to understand the systems in which we are existing, because our ancestors did it before us. We have to understand the game, or we're not going to be able to play it correctly. And so I just want to make sure that, you know, we just focus on you for a minute, because I acknowledge that I see your pain. I saw the way you was talking about your babies last time you were here. I saw the impact that having people not treat you fairly, or not having people not understand you to be able to treat you fairly, the impact that had on you. And so I acknowledge that for you. And I'm so glad that you're going to be joining a celebration weekend. I can't wait. Because I think that we have to have these conversations. A lot of people should be uncomfortable when they come into a room with people who are truth tellers. People who are truth tellers and are informed and have the ability to be open-minded, as well as have their ideology challenged. That's okay. But have an answer for when you have a question. You saw how they stopped before they even responded to you. They stopped and they thought about it before they came up with an answer. We need more of that. Exactly. Because that's how we're going to build strong children. I don't want to build broken adults. I want to build strong children. So how do we do that? We start equipping them with knowledge from different places so that they can be well-rounded individuals.
I just picked up this amazing book talking on the same thing. It's called Raising Free Children, or Raising Free Humans. I don't know. I just, one of those two, but I just picked it up. I read I'm like, amazing. I think it's Raising Free Children or Raising Free Humans, something like that. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And
all about unschooling. And it's all about unschooling.
Unschooling. Oh, we have a couple of unschoolers in our ranks too. Shout out to Miss Sharina, who is a professional unschooler, because there's a way that we've been taught to exist in this world. And it's do this, very regimented, but it's not according to what is comfortable to us. It's what's comfortable to the majority.
To
That's what
European
they call it.
standards.
Yeah. And we have people who are so-called people of color who perpetuate and reinforce those specific standards. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to make it a black and white issue. This is an anti-black issue. And so we're not going to piecemeal it and say only white people do this. There's a whole bunch of non-white folks who probably on the census mark themselves as white to continue to perpetuate this type of harm that has not served us very well. And so we have to be well-read, well-versed, and willing to come to the table and sit, and deal with facts. Deal with facts, not emotions. We can't be emotional people. That's how they get us caught up. So that means we have to be very, very well-read and well-researched. Because honestly, it's not about a flag, what flag you continue, you want to, whatever, you don't like this or that. It's not about the flag. It's about what is the meaning of this thing that we are supposed to be celebrating? And is it being lost in the commercialism and the federal recognition? Because again, Black people never need a reason to turn up with one another. I mean, the fact that we made it to Friday is enough for us to turn up on a Friday.
All by myself.
So we don't need no reason. But if we're going to identify a reason, we need to be flat-footed in the fact of what it is we're looking at and what we're recognizing in the history behind that and be okay with that. Melissa, are you coming off mute?
Yeah, I wanted to say something like how you were saying it doesn't matter what flag, and like the comment that Ms. Exquisitive said, it doesn't matter what flag someone identifies with or what flag someone chooses to use. We're all saying the exact same thing. It's about recognizing the history. So we are agreeing with you, but people cannot get mad over us talking about the history. No matter if you are Black, white, whatever, if you're getting mad over history, people getting mad over history, which is all we're talking about today, is the reason that we are where we are.
Yeah.
And it's important to
Hold on.
It's important to have an open mind and to not turn every conversation into a confrontation, because we're not trying to attack anybody. We're just simply trying to say, let's celebrate this the right way. There's history behind this. Let's make sure that we're doing it the right way. And I find it a little unfair how people can get mad at it. It's like, we're not trying to attack you. We're just trying to educate you. You should want to be educated and be like, wow, I didn't know that.
They don't want to be educated.
Keep that in mind. But
there's some people who
it's
willfully ignorant. Yeah, they're willfully ignorant, right? And I saw, and I got this thing. I like to read comments. Anybody else like to read comments on social media? Okay, I like to read comments. And one of the comments said, "Well, we already gave them Black History Month. Why do we have to celebrate their independence?" Oh, okay.
I was going in.
We celebrate y'all every time.
I said Naya was going in. I don't know what she said, but she was going in. It was a good thing she was on mute.
It's so dumb because we celebrate them every time we go into history class, learning, glorifying them white people about how great they did America. But the minute we just have something for ourselves, well, why we gotta do this or why we gotta do that? That's funny.
They said this is getting out of control. They're getting too many celebrations.
I want to talk about how they didn't give us Black History Month. We took Black History Month. They did not give that to us. A Black person created Black History Month. They didn't give us anything.
They made it a better holiday. The same way they gave you a Black president, same way they gave you a Black vice president, same way they gave, how they be giving.
Any Black person will do.
Stop playing like you don't know how they be giving.
Any Black person will do, just anyone. It don't matter if we have different cultures, different backgrounds. They're Black, be happy. It's for you.
We'll give you a Black cop and tell you it's progress. So now a Black cop can lock you up or a Black cop can kill you. At Juneteenth, matter of fact.
What Ice Cube say about what Black cop showing out for the white cop? Oh,
man.
Y'all know NWA? No? Oh, all right. Let me be quiet. Anyway, y'all look at that lyric. Yep. Mm-hmm. So look, we are running out of time. So Jordan is going to be joining us. Jordan, are you coming to the soiree on Friday?
I do believe I am. I
didn't see your name on the registration, so I'm gonna need you to register and bring the
Okay,
band.
so listen, when we get off this, I'm gonna tell you some of the things, like I was saying, the things that have been happening. You're gonna be like, oh, I see why, and then you're gonna be like, okay.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to talk offline about that. But just for everybody else who's listening, Celebration Weekend is this weekend, Friday and Sunday. We want to make sure that you are in the building, joining me and my friend Damian Barlin, who's going to be our host for the soiree on Friday. And then, of course, we have a couple of hosts for the graduation, Pastor Yardley and Pastor Darrell from Boss Church. And also we have some incredible speakers lined up, Jordan being one of them. And then Miss Elise Verscher and Barry Axius is falling through. We have some student speakers in Trinity and Brian Sloan. So we want you in the building so we can celebrate your babies the right way in a safe space for Black folks. We are unapologetic. We just want to be about Black excellence, and that we're about that life. You want some, come and get some, because we are definitely open to creating safe spaces, not just for our children, but for our faculty and our staff to be empowered and embraced and loved on and rebuilt, because it's hard out here in these education streets. We already know that to be a fact. Additionally, please join us next week. We are talking about reparations. We will have the chair of the California Reparations Task Force in the building, as well as local organizer with Coalition for a Just and Equitable California, Chris Lodgson, will be in the building. So without further ado, we're going to hit you with the wave. We're going to catch you next week right here on Facebook and YouTube at 4 p.m. PST. We are Black versus the Board of Education. Ladies, hit them with the wave. Mr. McGowan, thank you always for coming through and lacing us, and we will see y'all